Good morning, students. Today we are going to learn the third chapter of history, effect of British rule on Indian population. So, as the population of India was growing, and the India also was doing its trade on that time for of what is that spices, all the spices and all, it was exporting to the Britishers to the other country. So, what were the exploitation that the Britishers were doing towards the Indian people? So Indian traders and all. So it was slowly they were imposing a lot of rules. They were establishing a lot of rules. Then they are administrating what is that system also they were changing. So it was creating a lot of problems and a lot of losses for the traders and all the farmers and money lenders or those who are zamindars and all. So it was a great loss for also for the arty crafts. Those who are doing artists, they also were later on they were also like jobless, and they also had to go to the farming agriculture field. So in that way, how these Britishers were eventually they started as a trade to in some places, but gradually they took a lot of means a lot of revolts. It was happening with other what is the sultans, and slowly they were making their own what is that place of a trading center. And now we are going to see that all in this chapter. So this is all about the trade of British, what is the exploitations, the effects of what the British rule, the lot of administrative rules, what they brought, the new system was creating a big problem for the Indians. So, in the last chapter, we have studied about the administrative establishment of the British. So, same we have studied. Now, it is the effect. Okay. So now we are going to study about the effects of the establishment. Means what they started, the new rules imposed on the Indian traders or the farmers, how it is affecting, how it is manipulating or getting into losses the people around the trading what is that other places, how the people of Indians, how the people of India were in a great loss. So that we are going that we studied in the uh, previous chapter of establishment, how they started new things. Now, what is the effect? What was the effect or how they were affected by these rules that we are going to study in this chapter. So in since 600 AD to 1757 AD, trade was the main purpose of Britishers. So they came in the purpose to do some trading. So India had a lot of they used to do the so India used to export. So they used to take clothes, spices, etc. from India, and they used to sell in a exchange of gold and silver to the other countries. They used to earn high profits on selling Indian goods in foreign markets, but they cannot do the same to in the Indian market because it's from them. It's they have brought everything from the cheaper price, and if they sell in the higher price in India, so a lot of people will arise and they'll be against them. So they cannot do that since they were not much expanded their administrative rule, or their trading center was not so what is expanded on that time. So for now they cannot do that. So they were doing this thing, cheating on Indians. They were taking the cheaper price from India because India had a lot of spices, clothes, and were coming out from this what is that farmers. So it was good enough for in a cheap rate to sell and export in their British means their countries in a higher value. So due to one-sided trade, East India Company had to face criticism. So what they did, the Indians uh, were the East India Company had to face the criticism. They were criticized for doing this, and they were opposed to do this for further. So, company was forced to arrange money for trade from India only. So they were not allowed to take money from outer part. So they were had to do the trading center in the India itself, in the same price what they used to sell in India. So after the battle of Buxar and Plassey. So what is the battle of Buxar? So the battle of Buxar was fought on 22 to 23 October 1764 between the faces under the command of the British East India Company, led by Hector Munor. Okay, so and the combined armies of Mir Qasim, Nawab of Bengal. So they were the revolt or the fight had took place between them, and the Britishers won this battle. And the Battle of Plassey also was a decisive victory. Means British East India Company over means in a large force of Nawab and Bengal, means they were combined, and with his French alliances on June 23, 1757, under the leadership of Robert Clive. So there also they were defeated in the Battle of Plassey. The Britishers won in that field also. So so they got control over the Bengal, of whole Bengal, like they became royal courtiards of Bengal, Bihar, and Orissa. So now they have more profit. Okay, so they are in this area. They are now as a ruling party now, or their trading center is now over this combined with these places. So and got right to collect land revenue also. So they afterwards they did not have to face problem of money for their administration or for extension of their reigns. Means now they have a lot of money. Means lot of money is coming from these places, Bengal, Bihar, Orissa, and because they have now won against them. Now they are overruling. So now no need of losses, or they have no losses from anything else, because they are trading. They used to trade uh, in the British. Okay, like they used to trade in outer country, so they were having losses because they were opposed, or they were told to stop this. So now they are having more profit because they are getting all the land revenues from these places. So on those days, land revenue was the main source of income for the rulers, and English also captured the same for their earning. So main source of income was from land revenue, all the taxes or from the land or from the places the people used to stay, because now they are under their control, Bihar, Orissa, and all. So they used to take a lot of revenues from this, a lot of money from these places. So now they were in more profit. So here the question arises, what are the main sources of income for government today? So the major source of revenue for the government is the goods and services tax. So that is GST. So it also generates a large chunk from corporation tax and browsing. The other liabilities, this is followed by income tax, the excess, excess duties, and non-tax revenue. So from these, all the taxes are taken. That nowadays we have a lot of taxes in water, everything, not only in goods and services. Means what is that income tax? Everything we have to pay a lot of taxes, right? So from that, government is earning a lot of money from us only. So the next topic is agriculture policy of Britishers. So what they now they are on the power of the what is that Bengal. So now previously Britishers applied the same method of taxation as it was there in the locality of these places, and then afterwards different policies was adopted to decide among and to keep them safe. So this policy was based on the conditions of different states of India. In this, the main issues of settlement here were the zamindari, raitwari, and mahalwari. So, what is the system? This was the system uh, taken from the Britishers. Okay, so the same method when the zamindars, raitwaris, and mahalwari system was there, they were collecting the same revenue from the locality, so they were following the same. Afterwards, they changed and adopted to decide amongst them to keep them safe. So this policy was based on the condition of different states of India. So some were in a rich condition, some were in not a good what is that good position. So in that way, they under their situation, they created this, adopted this method. So zamindari system, Raitwari and Mahalwari. So zamindari system was introduced by Cornwallis in 1793 and Raitwari was introduced by Sir Thomas Munro in 1820 and Mahalwaris was introduced by Holt Mackenzie in 1822. So this system was there in that period when the Britishers had what is that had to collect the revenue system from these localities from the agriculture department. In the early period, the collection of revenue by the Britishers were done through contractors who were selected by auction. So what is auction? Like people are sold, like no, giving the how much amount. So in that way, they were given the what is that contractor? What is that position? So those people or those contractors who used to collect more money from the agriculture people or the farmers, so they used to be getting the contract or they used to be made as a collector or contractor. So the contractor tried his level best to collect more and more revenue from the farmers and peasants as early as possible. So in that way, the Britishers made such a policy or such a rule system that only they will be selected or they will be given the rights to be the collectors. So in that way, they tried their level best to collect from everyone as much as they possible, or like that. If they were also not able to pay, then also maybe forcefully they used to take, or maybe in such a way. So the contractor was only concerned about his revenue, and he was not worried about the peasants' benefit or loss. So this we know about that. The farmers were getting how much loss or the whole year they are working, and now they don't have in that much money that they have earned, that they should or that they can give to the what is that contractors. So they were not looking these things, or not looking the situation what the peasants were, what the farmers were there. So was their agriculture good or not? Do they have money that much or not? So that nothing, they just seeing their own revenue part, just their own benefits, that how much money they can collect from these people. So therefore, the term of contract settlement by the contractors was increased to 5 years instead of 1 or 2 years by the Britishers. So now this competition was going on, like more of the collectors were collecting more money. So these Britishers also were very happy. So now it extended from 1 to 2 years, it extended up to 5 years. So they thought that if they give a contract for long-term exploitation towards peasants, will be decreased. So instead of new contractors, they started giving taxes to older zamindars. So in that manner, the policy of revenue collection changed frequently. So now these Britishers, what they thought, that instead of giving to these contractors, so what they thought, we have to pay them again the same amount. So instead of that, we will do another policy. We will give directly to the zamindars. So their own what is that? Those who collectors from the locality. So those who were localities of the zamindars, they were directly given to the, and thus these types of frequent changes were happening in that time. So next one is permanent settlements. So in the year 1789, British government made an agreement with the zamindars of Bengal, and that was the permanent settlement. So Lord Cornwallis decided that land revenue will be collected by zamindars. So now permanent settlements, like those whose or the places, or those whose farming area is there, the landowners should be settled in a permanent way, not changing, or like you can buy anywhere or like that. So in that way, they have to be settled in one places, like permanent settlements of the zamindars. Lord Cornwallis decided that land revenue will be collected by zamindars. Those zamindars who will not give the land revenue would surrender their zamindari, and new zamindar will take over his place. So they started this policy to uh, reinforce or to reinterpret the formulations of declarations, not just for the collectors who were before like cheating or doing a lot of things. So now they are not seeing the zamindaris also. Now they have taking the zamindari, or those who have landowners, they are taking taxes from them. So those who are not able to pay, if they are no money, so they have to surrender their what is that zamin or their field to the another zamindars. So now they will be having no power over it, or they will be for other another's people. It will be for other people, so other zamindari. To escape from the problem of frequent decisions for land revenue, Lord Cornwallis in 1789 to 90 established a rule. So to escape, to give away from the problems, like frequent changes were happening, frequent decisions were made by the Britishers. So Lord Cornwallis, what he did, he established a new rule. So on this basis of land revenue paid, zamindar will have to power of 10 years. At least they can earn within this 10 years in their field, and they can pay the revenue. So they have time, and they also can buy and sell the properties. So if they sell the property to other people, they will get money, right? So in that way they can get money for the paying the tax. So any failure in paying revenue by peasants, by farmers, gave them authority to acquire their lands. So means any failures that was not paid by them, so now they have no rights, right? So in that way, that rule was made by Lord Cornwallis. For company rulers, land revenue was the main source of income. So those who were ruling, or those who were doing this system of what is that revenue system of income, source of income was from the land revenue. So by this system, company got economic stability. So now they have in a stable manner. So now from this revenue, they are not what is that hazing, or not going the upwards or downwards. Now they are not shaky. So the drawback of this law was the main focus was not on the development of agriculture or to increase inequality, but to increase in the quantity, but on the contrary. So for the this rule, it was not like agriculture should increase, or we should have more what is that source of quantity of what is that rice crops and all. But for the it was opposite. It was just for the profit of the revenue from the taxes they will get from these zamindars. So the zamindars used to collect revenue on the regular basis, which did not provide any profit to the government or peasants. Raitwari system. In this system, the main basis of tax collection was to have direct contact with farmer or peasants. So it was decided that after subtracting the expenditure of agriculture production, 50% of the leftover amount would have to give to the landowners in the land revenue. So this was the Raitwari system, which was introduced by Sir Thomas Manure in 1820. So this system what had a direct contact with the farmers and peasants. So they used to collect the revenue directly, and if the person, they have to give 50% of the leftover what is that income to the government, or to the what is that land revenue for the zamindars and all. So in early days, the increase and decrease in price of the crops did not have any connection with the revenue. In Mumbai and Madras, Presidency province was established for 30 years. Even after direct contact with peasant in the system, there was exploited. So even having a direct contact with these farmers, with these peasants in Bombay and Madras Presidency, there was a lot of exploitation for among about 30 years. So still it was not having any what is that effect of introducing this Raitwari system. So still they were exploited by the Britishers. So next one is Mahalwari system. So Mahalwari system was introduced by Howlett Mackenzie in 1822. So in 1833 to 43, British rule started a new system. Again, frequently we know that they were changing because of the earning their profits. They were looking for their own profits, but not having any mercy on the farmers or what they were going undergoing any and how they were going through. So they were collecting revenues after revenues from everywhere. So collecting revenues in the system on the western side. So in this system, the whole village was regarded as a mahal for the settlement of collecting revenue. So like whole villages now they have to give together like as a mahal as a group they have to give some revenue from everyone. Okay, so they used to collect from the group. So this it meant that all the families of the peasant had a joint responsibility for collecting the revenue. So everyone, not only one family, if they gave then it is over. Not like that, but similarly they had to collect from everyone, and when it is complete, that amount is complete, then that's that what is that amount revenue is now accomplished. So in that way this was Mahalwari system was made. So in similar of the Raitwari system, after subtracting an expenditure on agriculture and for feeding of peasant families, 50% of the left money was collected by the revenues. So this system was also imposed in Punjab, Madras and Chhattisgarh. So in this system, Mahalwari system, 50% of the leftover monies what they used to collect from all the villagers that used to be given to in the land revenue collections. So this was imposed in Punjab, Madras and Chhattisgarh. So now revenue collection in Chhattisgarh. So what was the system in Chhattisgarh the time of British? British rulers did a lot of changes in land revenue system in Chhattisgarh. So in everywhere they are having a lot of frequent changes of the policies of the revenue system. They divided Chhattisgarh into many different prangnas and Kamavishdhars were appointed. So like many subdivisions, prangnas, where they because it was in a wide area, so they were having not much what is that they cannot collect everywhere. So they divided and they appointed as a Kamavishdhars, those who can collect the money from these places, from all the subdivisions of what is that this Chhattisgarh. So for collecting of revenue from Prangna, Amirs and Pandey were the revenue officers. So the British officers abolished the post of Patel prevailing during Maratha rule, and instead of that post Gautiya was created. So before they used to have this Patel area, one leader used to be there in the villages. So they abolished that and they now started with post Gautiya post was created. So at that time the villagers collected this Gautiya collected revenue in three installments. So in three times, in the three different time, this Gautiya had to collect revenue from this all the subdivisions of the as they were divided. So revenue was decided according to the area of land. So they used to see which land or which area is more wealthier. In that ways, they used to increase and decrease the revenue. So in that taxes. So village Gautiya collected revenue and deposited to the government treasuries. So this revenue system, which was imposed by Britishers, was not good for peasants because they were having not much. What is that? They were in a poor conditions. This revenue system, which was imposed by British, was not good for peasants because the Britishers' rate for each revenue was very high and compulsory. So now, if they don't have enough revenue or income from their source, so how they can give everything or to these Britishers? So this was very bad because they were in a very poor condition, or were farmers, which was not possible for the poor farmers' income. So therefore, they had borrowed from zamindars and landlords. They used to borrow money to because it was compulsory. If they don't give, then maybe their lands we used to be taken out. Okay, so now after that is done, so another source will be nothing left. So they had to borrow from the landlords and zamindars. If the revenue was not paid regularly, then landlords used to capture their lands. So other problem also was there, but that other problem also was there that if they are not paid on the same on the regular basis from the zamindars and landlords. Again, they used to capture their lands. So in that means in the both side now the threat is there. So if from not from this side or the other side. So ultimately the condition of peasants were not well. So they agitated, means they now raised their voice from this. They were disliking this British what is the system of ways of collecting revenues. So in this manner, peasants revolted against many rulers. So how they revolted, and we'll see next. So what was affecting the craftsman and arts? So previously I had told the lot of people, those who were artists, craftsmen, those who make things by their own hands, handicraft people, or the artists who design or paintings and all. So how they were also exploited. So companies' administration's system was such that the Indian craft and art was destroyed. So Indian craftsmen and artists were forced to sell their things in a low price, and heavy taxes were imposed. So where they used to they make their own things and they have to sell in their own places or the other outside. So when they take these things outside or buy, sell these things, they were taken more taxes, and they were told that they should uh, keep the price very low. So now it is great loss for them. So goods imported from England were free from custom duty, so goods were cheap. So the goods that was imported from England, that was cheap, and it was in a cheap price. Ultimately, the Indian cannot sell the things from things outside, because it was the taxes were taken more. So ultimately, Indian craftsmen and art could not exist in front of the foreign goods. So what was coming from the foreign things, it was very cheap, and the tax were not put in that. So many were buying their things, the outside one. So they were having more profits, and the craftsmen of Indians people and artists who were selling their prices were in a great loss. So they were having more problems for selling, and now they have no options to. So therefore, cloth industries and of Dhaka, once known as Manchester of India, was destroyed. So the cloth, the famous industry of Dhaka, also was known as Manchester, also was got down. Now it is destroyed. Now nobody is working or nobody wants to work there. So, and also industries of Murshidabad and Surat was also destroyed because of that, because of this exploitation. The craftsmen were unemployed and they had to be depend on farming. Now they are forcefully they had to depend on farming, because now no other choice. Because if they make, there is no profit. They are working hard and nowhere they can sell, and the taxes are more. So in that cases they are in the great loss. So what will they do? So the next one is effect on people living in forest. So how it affected, or how it affected the people, those who were living in the forest, those who were doing their daily needs, daily duties, or they were earning from the forest. So during English rule in India, new mills and factories were established. So already there were some factories, but after these Britishers came, so again more of the factories came from these people and established new factories, which was based on raw materials from the forest. So they used to take buy these raw materials from these forest people. Wood, which was found in Indian forest, was used to laying new railway tracks. So this all the things, woods were used to go for the making of railway tracks. And also wood was sent to industries of England too. So it was sent outside the country too. So deforestation was rapid. So when it was now cutting of trees was happening more. Now the whole of the jungle was getting cleared because of this East India Company came. So tribes dwelling in the forest doing jhum agriculture were prohibited to cut trees, and their living style was thus affected. So they were against the British rule. So the people who are against the cutting trees, like Jhum agriculture people, so they were prohibited to cut the trees, but forcefully now they are being asked to cut the trees, and it was against their rule. A tribal from the Chota Nagpur plateau forest, born in 1870s, was a pioneer of this revolution. So he was the more what is that, who started this revolt against the Britishers, who was from Chota Nagpur. His name was Birsa Munda. So he revolted against the British as a child. Birsa used to gaze his sheep. Means he used to take care of the ships in the jungle. He used to now, if the trees are cut, so where will he do? So he used to play flute and wander about in the field. So he was fond of the greenery part, like forest. He used to love the jungles, okay, like forest. No more, but now these Britishers came and they are cutting trees everywhere. So he was against, and many he what is that? He made many people to revolt against them. So as he grew up, became conscious about the upliftment of the tribal society. So he brought many tribals against this British what is that British rule. So he wanted the Mundas so to abstain from liquor, keep the villages clean, and keep away from the superstitions and black magic. So the black magic part was existed more in that times. So like in mostly in the jungles and villages. So Birsa also consistently opposed the entry of missionaries of Hindu zamindars who were trying to destroy the culture of the lifestyle of the Munda tribes. So many missionaries came and they also were talking about their own, what is that religion, and Hindus came. So they were telling these things and exploiting these Munda tribes. So he was against them and he also uh, revolted against these people. So the Mundas wanted to establish their rule by throwing the missionaries, Mahagnas, Hindu zamindars, and the government and the political objectives of the revolt caused worried from the Britishers. However, the Mundas wanted to protect their tradition and their fields from the Hindu zamindars and the Mahagnas. So they were only happy about their own places, but this exploitation brought them to the what is that culture destruction. So in that way, they were very sad about it. So they had to work or they had to revolt against this. So the Birsa, who was a what is that revolter, or who was against more of his leadership, he took from this Munda side and he revolted against them. So when revolt began to spread, the English decided to take strict action. So when more of the followers were from the Bilsa, means the Mundas were awakening this what is that against these people, against the Britishers. So this the Britishers what they did, they arrested the Birsa and sentenced him to imprisonment. Means he was put to jail for 2 years. So now after he went, now everyone became colder. Means everyone now they were silent and nothing people could do because he was the main purpose and he brought many people to that. But now I think they were got scared because he was the leader. After he was released in 1870, sorry, 18 after he was released in 1897, after 2 years, Birsa went from the village to gain the confidence. Again, they were became cold and they were not having that strength to fight against them. So again he brought more confidence to the people. He went villages to villages and people through the and he told them that this is our culture and this is our symbol, this is our language, we should not give up. So in that case he again brought many people to the back to the revolt against them. So in 1900 Birsa died and the revolution decreased soon. Again after his death the revolution got decreased. The revolution was important in two ways. First, it compelled the colonial government to implement rules. So the government that was coming, colonial government like British government, which was coming more or uprising in that area, used to be used to be thrown down or used to be imposed or should be stopped. The whatever the exploitation they are doing or whatever rules they are bringing up and breaking the culture of destroying others what is that culture what is cultural what habits. So in that way it has to be destroyed. So that would not allow the Decus to snatch the fields of the tribes and second. So the second part was to reinforce the fact that the tribes were also capable of showing their opposition towards British colonialism. The tribals did the work their way, typical way. So in that way, they also worked for the reinforcement of their tribal work. They also showed that they are also growing up. So in that way, now we see a lot of tribals in this India. So now we will be seeing some of the major revolts of Chhattisgarh from late 18th century and the early 20th century. Chhattisgarh saw many revolts in tribal areas. The tribal was conscious about the protection of their lifestyle, their tradition, their culturality. So in that way, from the Britishers, the chief characters of these revolts were they were all against the hoardings of fields, villages and forest areas and tribes by external sources. That means they were against the Britishers or the other, what is that, factories or the industries, those who were collecting all the things, all the materials from the jungles, from the tribal areas, they were against that because if they go on giving permission or if they allow them to do whatever they wish to clean the jungle, everything. So what is the main source of these villages then? It will be nothing left. If it is everything dry up, then they cannot do for their livelihood. They cannot earn. They cannot eat food. So in that way, they were against the hoarding of fields. These revolts were for the conservation of the tribal life and its culture. So their culturality also were some were exploited by those missionaries, by the Hindus and Mahajans and all those who were coming. So in that way, they were also exploited. So they had to preserve their tribal life and their culturality. The revolts were towards the new rules imposed by the British rules. So frequently the Britishers were bringing new rules, and it was very problematic for them to the for the revenue collection or for any other things that the Britishers were bringing up. The Britishers wanted to keep away from the interference of the external world and the colonial rule that disrupted disrupted their original life. So they also wanted to have no external or the interference with the external world, means they only want to live their own life happily without interpretation or without any interference with other world. So they wanted their own way of life, simple life to be growing up well. So it was the more important that the non-tribals of Chhattisgarh also participated in the initial revolts of the tribal people. So the main things also was that all the other non-tribals of Chhattisgarh, they also what is that should or support those culturality of the Chhattisgarh, so that the tribal people, those who lived 1,000 years back, should not just vanish away.